you trying to prove? What does it prove?
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead.
I did everything I could.
You're not gonna say that now.
And it was never gonna bloom.
I was lost, but now I'm found.
Have you ever sat back and wondered what makes a great actor? Or how can an actor be so completely natural on screen when they have a camera 2 inches away from their face and a whole crew of people watching them? It's almost like a magic trick that we can only hope to grab. Well, this video is going to reveal the trick behind the curtain. The only people who will be revealing this answer today are Oscar-winning actors. It's almost unrefuted that if you win an Oscar, you probably know a thing or two about acting. So today, you'll only be learning from the best as I present to you 10 different actors who have all received one or multiple Oscars. Without further ado, sit back, grab a bag of popcorn, and learn the secrets behind acting from the very best.
Laurence Olivier said the same thing when I was working at the Vic. He said, economize. He said, because if you hit the ceiling all the time, the audience gets dull. They may as well go to the pub and get drunk next door. So he said, don't show too much, just contain. But I never understood that, and as the years have gone by, it's sort of it's happened for me. I understand that the less you show, the less is more. But you have to have the power or reserve inside. But the less you show, you let the audience do the work. And it's a trick, I guess, or it's something that came to me. But it's not even a conscious technique of, I just find it easier now to be still. I find that now by relaxing and enjoying this moment in my life, I find that things are getting easier. Yeah. Acting gets easier for me because it's none of my business, really. I think there's so much value in the subconscious mind. And Stanislavski always talks about that. I'm sure Lee Strasberg talked about it. Stella Adler, Sanford Meisner, they talk about relaxing, being in charge of your instrument, being open so that the power can flow through you. Whether you're an actor, a painter, a musician, or an airline pilot, you can't be tense. It's a whole principle of life. If you're relaxed, chances is that good things will come to you. If you're uptight and, I think you frighten things away if you're constantly aggression and
Do tell
uptight.
young actors, turn up on time, be early, and know the lines. When I arrive on the set, I've done my homework and I'm ready to work. And I've noticed occasionally there are people that think they're a little lazy and that they can wing it. You've got to be incredibly talented to be able to wing it, But that would be my advice to people. Just be early and ready to work.
I think what you really want to say is that you have to act. This is really when you're first starting out. Is you have to act wherever you can. You can't be picky. You really have to act wherever you can and wherever you get a chance to act. And that might even be just in an audition room. This is something a teacher told me years ago, and he's right. Even if you're auditioning for something that you know you're never going to get, or you might have read it and you might not even have liked it, but you know that you have to go, that if you get a chance to act in a room that somebody else has paid rent for, then you're given a free chance to practice your craft. And in that moment, you should act as well as you can, because if you leave the room or the theater or wherever you are and you've acted as well as you can, there's no way that the people who've watched you will forget it. And that was something that somebody told me a long time ago, and I do think that's the only advice, because it's always about that. It's always about the work at the end of the day. Everybody knows that. Absolutely. If I show up to work one day and the work I'm doing isn't any good, I'm just a guy who's not acting well. I mean, I'm a guy who's not acting well, and you're just always back to that moment. You're always back to that moment where you have to act as well as you can. And I would say to anybody starting out, is like, if you're given a chance to act, take those words and bring them alive. And if you do that, something will transpire.
What you do as an actor is?
Trust my instincts. That's all you have. That scene that you just saw was improvised.
Meaning what?
Well, good question, if I may say so, because there's some improvisations.
The first one.
You just improvise.
Yeah.
In other words, you say this scene is about this. You guys got to know that this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. Just improvise it. Another scene is written. You'll do it a few times, written, and then you'll play. You'll leave the dialogue, just like in jazz. There can be notes or whatever. Or refrain is da ba 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 ba. Those are the lines that are written. Now you go off those any way you want. So you can improvise that way, right? In this case, we knew what the lines were, and Redford was rather brilliant in this movie because he was the producer, he found the project, and one of the first things he said to me was, you know what we should do? We should memorize not only our own lines in every scene of the movie that we're in together, but we should memorize each other's lines. And then we should interrupt each other anytime we want. So you may be saying to someone at the door, hi, I'm Carl Bernstein, and he said, I may take over and say Bob Redford, or you're liable to say and he may say Carl Bernstein, and so that we don't know what we're doing. And in that particular scene, I think it was, I can't remember, it was all one of ours dialogue. And then we just sort of threw it out and we say, we'll just both take this dialogue and run with it and improvise on it.
Do you like to do that? Do you like to go off the page?
In movies, there's nothing like it. And when you're improvising, it stops you from acting. It stops you from knowing the way you're going to... This is improvising a little bit. I'm doing better at this right now than if I had to learn the lines.
What he says is very true for me, too, because some actors work cerebrally, some work physically. I like to work physically a lot of times. It helps me feel like, clothes, putting on certain clothes can give you a feeling of another character, which it does to actual people who are characters. It helps them identify with the role that they want to play in life, be a businessman or whatever they want to, And one thing can give it to you. A walk can give it to you. Just that one walk, you can play that one thing through a whole play or a movie, and it can do it. So I agree.
Film acting have to be naturalistic.
You gotta know what movie you're in.
Yeah,
I think you gotta know what story you're telling.
Exactly.
Because there's an aesthetic. Look, we got, what, 2 categories? Drama, comedy. Under that, there's all these branches of an aesthetic and tone, and you have to leave space for the director's voice, the writer's voice, the actors. You want to always be conscious of what film you're in. You always want to know what play you're in, what story you're telling. And I think through listening, I think your compass guides you to what world that
person comes to you and says, Mr. Pacino, what is it? What is acting? What do you tell them?
So what we're doing right now, that's acting. The other thing you do when you're in a play is playing, and I don't really know what that is. Quite, I couldn't answer you. It's a lot of things.
What is it about it that you not like so much, but you have to do? I mean, this is your life. This is your life. I mean, you have to do it. You have to do it.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
What is it about it that's...
Well, it's like sort of putting peas in a hat, You just keep doing it. You gotta do it, you don't know why, but if you don't do it, you're gonna go nuts.
Told me, that was he directed my first film, and he said that for film, it has to be real. So whatever you are feeling, the camera's an extension. It can see more into you than your scene partner. And so to look at it, not like it's a separate thing, but it's part of your body almost. It has a direct link to your soul. So whatever you're feeling, you can try to hide it, but the camera's gonna get it. So it's the sense of once you allow that and allow yourself to hide a little bit if you want, but it's still gonna see it anyway. And whatever you are feeling, that's what the character's feeling. And I was so lucky that was my first film, because I was afraid to go from, I started in theater, and I was afraid to go from theater to film because I thought there was gonna be a big difference in the acting. And that advice changed everything for me.
I think any actor knows. So much of it is about the director when you're working on film. And so directors very much choose who they want in their films and who they want to play their characters, or writer-directors do. So you still, no matter where you're at in your career, I think we're still at the mercy of whether somebody wants us.
Do you realize that you're thought of as the greatest actor ever?
Tim's the greatest actor ever. He pretends he loves me. He wants something to eat. Get out of here.
No, it's true.
What's the difference? See, that's a part of the sickness in America, that you have to think in terms of who wins, who loses, who's good, who's bad, who's best, who's worst. We always think in those terms, in the extreme terms. I don't like to think that way. Everybody has their own value in a different way, and I don't like to think who was the best at this or that. What's the point of it?